Please let me introduce Dr. Singh. He's the Professor and Head of Department of Ophthalmology of ABVIMS and Dr. RML Hospital. He's also the Joint Secretary of the Glaucoma Society of India. Dr. Singh, please give me.
Yeah. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir, we can.
So, thank you so much, Dr. Sukanya, and thank you for having faith in me to be able to deliver along with so many other stalwarts. And I'm extremely grateful to you and to AIUS as well. So, no financial interest, of course, and as all of you know, that pressure sensitive neuropathy is what disease we are talking, and that is glaucoma. And IOP is the only modifiable risk factors with a huge range of normal pressure. And there can be the two factors are very important. The two factors are very important: the precision and the accuracy. And it's important to understand the difference. The precision is the observer factors that inter and intra-observer variations, whereas accuracy is a variation of IOP, measured IOP from the true intraocular IOP, which is measured by manometry, and the one which is measured by tonometry. And most of you by now know that central corneal thickness has got effect on all these types of tonometry, and so are the effects on corneal curvature and corneal biomechanics. There are few other considerations like corneal edema, refractive surgery, tonometry in children, and there are many more factors which affect the intraocular pressure or intraocular pressure measurement, which include diurnal variation, posture, season, use of necktie, and so on and so forth. We'll not go into details of this indentation toniometry, but we'll go into all the applanation varieties. We'll touch these tonometers, and then we'll go to Goldman applanation tonometer. And this is a TonoPen, which is a portable instrument. So the biggest advantage is it is useful in diseased corneas and with bandaged contact lenses. However, it is not recommended for glaucoma evaluation. Non-contact tonometer is a routine screening tool, and it reads abnormal readings in the abnormal range. So for screening, it is fine because it does give a good job within the normal range. And pachymetry, of course, is must. The cardiac cycle is very important because it takes a measurement in 1 to 3 milliseconds. So the cardiac cycle can affect the reading significantly. This is a picture of dynamic contour tonometer, and which has a little different technology and is useful for after keratorefractive surgery. So it gives better readings, a more accurate reading in thin corneas. However, one should remember that it does not give accurate readings in thick corneas, where GAT still stays better than this. Ocular response analyzer addresses some biomechanical properties, and the rebound tonometer does not require anesthesia, so more useful in children. However, it does overestimate, and more so in thick corneas. So now we'll go to the details of Goldman applanation tonometer, which is a subject very close to my heart. So there are many factors which affect the IOP measurement by this tool. There are inter and intra-observer variations. Adequacy of tear film is required. Width of the mires have to be considered. Central corneal thickness, corneal curvature, and biomechanical properties I have already told. So all these pictures, I think most of us are aware that this is what applanation tonometer is mounted on slit lamp, and this is these are the 5 main parts of the applanation tonometer, which is attached to the slit lamp. So this is about the calibration. It is generally done at 0, 2, and 6 points. This is done before we start the applanation tonometry. So I have put it at the first slide. And for this particular instrument, calibration should be done 3 to 6 months, depending on the age of the instrument. And the acceptable variation for the position 0 and 2 is 1 millimeters of mercury, whereas in position 6 we accept an error of 2 millimeters of mercury. However, in rest of the other applanation tonometers also, this is the important calibration. Most are self-calibrated, but if they go out of order, then calibration goes wrong, then they generally are sent to the factory workshop for this. And among the factors, the most important factor is the precise setting of the mark as shown in this picture. About now the factors which affect measurement, the corneal thickness, all tonometers are affected. Extent may vary, even DCT is affected. And high CCT records falsely high intraocular pressure. There are no nomograms, but mote taur pe, we can say that 14 micron thickness affects 1 millimeters of mercury, and the standard thickness is 540 micron of the cornea. The corneal elasticity is very important, and it may show a very important factor, and this may replace central corneal thickness measures once its measurement becomes easier and financially visible for the doctors. And it is well known that as the age advances, not only the intraocular pressure rises, but also the Young's modulus, which is a measurement of the corneal elasticity, also increase. So maybe this increase in the age, which we are calling as increase with the age, may simply be a matter of biomechanical properties rather than an increase with age. Corneal astigmatism becomes significant when it is more than 3 to 4 diopters, and this is because once this applanated area is elliptical, if there is astigmatism, and it requires more pressure for applanation, thereby resulting in error. To avoid this error, one needs to align the minus axis with the red mark on the prism, or one has to take 2 readings, horizontal and vertical. As you can see, this red mark which is there at 43 degrees from 0 is there in all the patient tonometers. So now we'll see this video of a short video of 5 minutes.
Despite all these novel modifications, the principle of applanation, introduced in 1954, GAT still remains the gold standard instrument to measure IOP for the management of glaucoma. The probe consists of a doubling biprism, which is used to applanate cornea, and it optically splits the circular area of corneal contact into 2 horizontal semicircles by inducing horizontal shift. On touch, tear film appears as a bright yellow-green spot, which turns into semicircular arcs when the tonometer is moved forwards. When 3.06 mm diameter of cornea is applanated, the semicircles interlock. The thickness of these semicircles represents tear meniscus on the sides of prism. Certain precautions need to be considered before undertaking the procedure. Remember to clean tonometer between 2 cases and disinfect the prism after a day's use. Remove the chemical completely after disinfection or cleaning. The equipment preparation includes setting the magnification at 10x, switching power to maximum illumination, maximum thickness and maximum height, bringing the blue filter in place, and creating an angle of 60 degrees between illumination and microscope. Prism and tonometer should get fixed into notch. After this, turn the measuring drum to setting 1, which is equivalent to 10 millimeters of mercury. Now, the patient preparation. After informing the patient about procedure, anesthetize both eyes with proparacaine. Place moistened fluorescein strip in lower conjunctival sac and place head of the patient on chin rest. Fluorescence of the stained tears facilitates visualization of tear meniscus at the margin of contact between cornea and the biprism. At this point of time, I take an opportunity to share a few practical tips. Do not touch eyelashes with prism as they are not anesthetized and thus will induce blinking. It is more accurate to measure increasing than decreasing IOP. So, while starting measurement, keep drum position lower than expected value of IOP. Generally kept at 1, one may start with higher drum readings if IOP is expected to be very high. Now, I would brief the procedure for actual measurement. After obtaining contact, observe cornea through microscope. Regular pulsations of 2 exact semicircular rings or equal size show that tonometer is in correct position. These pulsations represent cardiac cycles. Drum is rotated to adjust pressure on globe until the internal edges of both semicircles meet at midpoint of these pulsations. Reading is multiplied by 10. Inaccurate vertical alignment can give rise to false IOP values. This part of video shows inaccurate vertical alignment which is being corrected. Inaccurate horizontal alignment means that IOP which is being recorded is different from actual intraocular pressure in the eye. Small semicircles away from each other suggest IOP is higher than shown by the drum position, and large overlapping semicircles suggest drum reading is higher than actual intraocular pressure. When accurate IOP reading on drum is reached, the rings are exact semicircles of equal size, vertically well aligned, and horizontally interlocked at internal edges. It is essential to emphasize that thickness of wires should be around 1/10 of the total diameter of flattened area. Thick wires, as shown here, lead to overestimation. Here, the prism tip as well as the eye should be wiped and pressure rechecked. Thin wires lead to underestimation of IOP and may need additional fluorescein. Prolonged contact of prism with cornea can lead to corneal injury and reduction of IOP, and hence should be avoided. Although Goldman tonometer is gold standard due to its accuracy and reproducibility, it does have certain sources of error which may be patient, observer, or the most important considerations are astigmatism and corneal thickness. Disinfection of prism is best done by home bleach, sodium hypochlorite, 3% hydrogen peroxide, mild soap, or proprietary disinfectants recommended by the manufacturers. For cleaning in between cases, using hydrogen peroxide, dilute bleach, or simply distilled water are the most practical. One should make sure that prism tip is dried before use to avoid getting excessively broad wires. Now, the calibration check. Although the manufacturers recommend once a month calibration check of the instrument.
I'll just
General
forward it
consensus is
little bit.
2 and 6. For position 2 and 6, marking of different side is required for different models. As shown here, if opposite marking is aligned, the calibration check cannot be performed. Precise setting of mark is key to successful calibration check. If any defect is detected in the calibration, the instrument may need to be sent to manufacturer for repair.
So this is a correct alignment as we have already seen in the video. I'll not go into details. So finally the checkpoints. We should be aware of the sources of error and limitations of each device, whichever we are using for application tonometry. And Goldman application tonometer is the gold standard for intraocular pressure measurement. However, measurement of central cornea thickness with necessary estimation of corrected intraocular pressure forms the standard care. Even this gold standard equipment has sources of error which need to be addressed in individual cases, and so is the case with other tonometers. So GAT is not the best, and also the GAT is not the best instrument for measurement of intraocular pressure in thin and regular corneas, where we prefer different instruments. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks again.